Before we dive into today's episode, I've got some exciting news. FutureLab, Australia's first longevity supplement range, is now available at Chemist Warehouse and leading health food stores. Now, this is a lot more than a regular supplement range. It really is a mission. The experts at FutureLab have developed formulas designed to support your well-being today, tomorrow, and beyond. Welcome back to FutureLab, where we explore the cutting edge of health span and longevity. I'm Danny Urbinder, and with me are my co-hosts, Dr. Denise Furness.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, and Trevor Hendy.
Hey, mate. Super excited today because I've got an old buddy on. So this is good.
And I must admit, I'm super excited too, because today we've got Dr. Damian Kristoff, who I've known for a long time, actually. I knew you when you were practicing as a naturopath. So just to give a bit of background, Damian is a naturopath, he's a chiropractor, he's a nutrition expert, and someone who's very passionate about longevity and wellness in general. And I think that he has a particular take on this topic, especially when it comes to blue zones. This is something that I know that Damian's explored in great detail. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. I'll let Damian do that. And welcome to the podcast, Damian.
Oh, thanks, Daddy. Thanks for having me. Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
Yeah.
mate.
So excited to have you here.
I like a little bit of fashion inspiration from you too. Nice tight shirt. This with this little
he's got the fit body.
sleevey thing going on. It's like you wear it well too.
You're going to embarrass him the first 10
No,
seconds.
I reckon you do like
It
it.
happens when you buy extra small, Trev. That's what happens. It makes you look bigger. It's all fake. It's all fake.
Now, I was very keen to talk to you about blue zones, longevity, and obviously your exploration into this. But before we do get into it, it'd be sort of interesting to know how you sort of got your interest in this space and what your journey was to get here.
All right. We've only got 60 minutes, yeah?
We can figure it out.
Yeah, we haven't got 90 years.
Yeah. That's good. He's good, Trev.
Well, we do. We've probably got more than that, all of us,
Yeah.
but not today.
Trev's
Come on.
well rested now.
So he's had he's fresh. He's fresh. Well, my journey into health and wellbeing nutrition started when I was studying to be an accountant. I originally studied commerce at Deakin University. At that point in time, I didn't really know much about food and nutrition, and I got fruit from things like jam donuts and strawberries and cream from Allen's,
Strawberry milk,
strawberry Big M's. Yeah. And I had an account at the local milk bar, and so the lady used to allow me to just go and grab stuff, and she's whack it on an account, and I'd pay that with my OS study. At the end of the fortnight. So I got into bad habits very, very early in my youth. So at like 18 years old, I wasn't very well, and so I struggled through commerce, didn't really love it, got sick, diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. This whole story, then I went to see a naturopath, and I saw this naturopath, David Fitz, and he said, Damo, your nutrition's very bad. And I was quite surprised. I didn't know what he meant by that. So,
because you're getting your cream and you're getting your fruit.
Yeah, I was getting all of my goodnesses, and so I thought, the only thing might have been lacking was protein. So, but not really. I thought anyway. So I was diagnosed. He gave me some herbs and some disgusting liver tonics, as they did back in the early 90s in naturopathy. It wasn't as easy to take stuff back then.
No.
I think I had a B vitamin and I had a liquid formula for liver. And he did that with me, and following a diet program known as the acid alkaline balance thing. And so he said 30% acid food, 70% alkaline, that's what you've got to do. And so I followed that, and I got better. And 6 months later, I'm great.
So he basically helped you come out of chronic fatigue.
Yeah, very quickly. And
especially in those days, it was very unusual.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, it depended how you saw chronic fatigue, right? So he saw it as a liver issue. And a nutrition issue, and for some people it might have been, a mental health issue. For other people, it's a leaky gut issue. Who knows? But for me, that's what my issue was. And he showed me a way, and I thought to myself, what am I studying commerce for? I'm just going to end up being something or somebody that I don't want to be. So I said to Mum, I don't think I want to be an accountant. And she said, what do you want to be? And I said, I think I'll be a naturopath. I didn't really know what that was. And so I said to David, do you think I could be a naturopath? He said, I'm the principal of the college. Why don't you apply? And so lo and behold, I got in. And so I'd already spent 2.5 years studying first year accounting. And I thought...
They cross over really well, though. There's some prior learning you can put in
some
there.
numbers in both.
It adds up.
There's no RPL. I got no RPL for that one. And I passed my naturopathy course in 4 years. It was a 4-year course, so I was excited by that. So I thought that I did have a few brain cells and got through that, went into practice naturopathy, really enjoyed it. That's where I met you when you were working with a testing company at that time.
Is that Narre Warren or... Is it?
No.
Northern suburbs, somewhere else, northeastern suburbs. Anyway.
Well, Narre southeast.
I
Now
was
you
just
got me
thinking
very
Narre Warren.
confused.
I was like,
Now I'm
I
very
was north,
confused.
north.
So no, I practiced in Traralgon to start with.
Really?
I was in
Okay.
way southeast. I was way out there, and then I moved a bit closer to Melbourne. I went to Morwell, and then I went from Morwell into studying chiropractic, and I went to RMIT and went to practice in Lower Plenty.
Yeah.
and I was studying at RMIT at Bundoora. So.
What prompted the transition, though, by the way? Why did you move from... Well, I suppose you didn't move, but you sort of added to...
Yeah, it got to a point where I was a bit... I was more concerned about people's health and well-being than what they were.
Right.
And I was studying with compliance. I was struggling with compliance issues. So I was young and enthusiastic, and I wanted my patients who were paying me good money to do 100% of the things that I asked them to do.
Follow the protocol, to do the diet.
Yes.
That's how you actually have to get better. It's not just about seeing you. They've actually got to take the advice.
Yes, I didn't want them just to buy supplements. I wanted them to follow the food program and change their life and get exercising and drink some water and stop having the fizzy drinks and stuff. And I found that difficult to communicate. I wasn't taught properly how to communicate. And so I broke down crying one day, and I was like, this is not good. And the wife of the chiropractor that I was working with came in, and her name's Di, and she said, Damo, what's going on? I said, Di, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I said, I'm trying so hard to help people get well, and they don't want to be as well as what I want them to be. Yeah. And I said, I feel I'm conflicted. And she said, why don't you be a chiropractor? And I said, okay. And so I decided, I said, all right, no worries. I had a little boy at the time, he was 1, and little Jack, and he's now 20, about to turn 25. And so she said, why don't we just apply now? So we got in touch with the college, RMIT. The applications closed that day. I sold my practice. I moved to Melbourne. I got into the course, which was fantastic. And off the back of that, I then...
Must be some RPL from... naturopathy to chiropractic.
You know what I got? I got chemistry, biochem,
yes.
which is great because I hated that anyway.
Yes,
I hated it. So I got that off. And I didn't love the college. And so I then was speaking to another chiropractor. He said, why don't you go to New Zealand? I said, okay. So then I moved to New Zealand and then studied
for a better college there.
Better at the time, okay. And I would still say,
and a burgeoning TV career.
Well, this is what ended up happening, Danny. You're right. So I went to New Zealand, was running weight loss programs to help people lose weight because I knew how to do that. And I got a phone call one day from a TV company, and they said, hey, we're looking for a nutritionist to come and write some programs. Would you be up for that? And I said, yep. And I went down to TV3. They said, could you audition for the presenter role? I said, what's a presenter do? And they said, that's the person in front of the camera. And I said, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. So they got me to do this Steve Irwin impersonation, picking stuff out. They did. They said, give us your best Steve Irwin impersonation. Take this out of the fridge and the freezer and the pantry and show us what you do. So I was chucking Tim Tams across the other side of the room, and I was throwing,
look at this little beauty.
Yeah. Well, yeah, look at this. This is 5 minutes on the lips, 10 years on the hips. I was saying this, and I chuck it across the room. And they said, that's amazing. They took that video to the execs and they said, yeah, you can have the gig. So I was the presenter of this TV show that spanned 4 years, and it was called Downsize Me. And then off the back of that...
that's the end of a lifelong dream, to be in television.
And then so I hung up my boots and I've been, retired ever since, So, but no, then I then moved back to Australia, and I've been back in Australia for, probably 18 years, I think now. And the TV show is about 20 years old. Wow. And we changed lives with that show. And as I was approaching, so we started other podcasts, and that's where I met Denise. And so we did all these great things, and we interviewed Trev on, I think it was the Wellness Guys. We did it with
100 Not Out.
Might have been 100 Not Out. Yeah, it was 100 Not Out.
Yeah, with Marcus. Yep.
Yeah, and then we started this wellness couch thing, and so it was a platform for being a wellness.
But it really was one of the first podcasts that focused on
it was
complementary, integrative, natural health.
Yeah, that was the Wellness Guys, and then Lawrence decided to leave, and then Brett and I were left there, and we didn't have the 2-person magic wasn't the same as a 3-person magic, so we folded that. And Piercy and I
only remember you.
Oh,
Did you? I thought it was just.
I knew you were my favourite for a reason. Like, you say all the right things, for
I
sure.
remember being on the wellness couch, so I know, but I thought it was just you. Maybe I'm confused.
Denise, unbelievable.
But she also only notices herself when she watches our podcast back too. So
I've got a co-host.
So funny.
Just me.
You post her up.
That's the best.
Sorry to the other people on the
sorry,
wellness
Brett. Sorry,
couch.
LT. They might not be listening, but if you are, sorry about that.
it's got Lawrence, right? Was one of them?
No, Lawrence Tam.
Oh, Lawrence Tam. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
LT,
You don't remember either.
No, I didn't. I never watched that one. So
No, well, it was before video.
Yeah.
We were talking
never
only
heard that,
audio only. So then Marcus, Pierce, and I started 100 Not Out, and that happened because I was 38 and packing myself because I was going to turn 40, and I was like, what's going to happen? Am I sick? Am I doing the right thing? I'd just been through university, and when you go through university studying stuff, you start to get health anxiety. So I was developing health anxiety. I was diagnosing myself with all kinds of issues.
That's the danger with a little bit of knowledge, isn't it?
I had a lot of knowledge, Danny. I had a lot of knowledge, and then I thought I better go get tested. So I went and got all these tests done, and everything was squeaky clean. I thought, oh, that's good. I made it to 40. I'm going to be fine. And Marcus said, why don't we do a podcast on longevity? And I'm like, mate, you're like not even 30 and I'm 38. And he goes, yeah, we can do this. So we started to explore it, and that was 12 years ago, 620 episodes ago.
Fantastic.
And we're still going. And Trev, when we interviewed you, that was a life-changing moment for me. I remember going through some times where I was going through your program, walking barefoot in freezing cold, because there was the barefoot component, and I was walking barefoot through icicles in Elstonwick Park, sitting down and just contemplating and meditating and thinking about things, and it was an amazing time of my life.
the boot camp for the soul.
Boot camp for the soul. It was outstanding. And so, through all of these years, 20 odd years, I've met beautiful people, amazing people, and I'm grateful. So now I talk on longevity, and that was my Kiwi coming out, and I take people longevity, and I take people over to Icaria, which is in Greece, and Sardinia in Italy, and we live for 10 days on these islands with the locals to understand what it is that they've done to award themselves the Blue Zone status. And
I did not know
do.
you were taking groups. I thought you had experienced these things out of your own interest. So you're actually running these kind of retreats, would you call them? Wow.
Yes.
So this was not your first time to Icaria, is it?
No, we've been doing it since 2016.
Wow, okay. So
No, obviously
Before
there was
longevity was cool.
back when it was wellness. Back when longevity was wellness, and now it's the same stuff but rebranded. And so longevity
Health span.
And now, yes, we say it's not about longevity, it's about the healthy years, health span, correct?
Yes, and one of our most recent podcasts, we interviewed a lady, Torta, and Torta has just completed a PhD, and she rewrote health span and lifespan. So we talk about lifespan being the dots between your birth date and your death date, right? And then the health span is a component of your lifespan. Your lifespan is going to be more dots if you're healthy. And she then spoke about strength span. And she said if your strength span is longer, your health span will be longer, and then your lifespan will be longer.
So what does that mean? What does strength span specifically mean?
Your ability to maintain muscle to avoid sarcopenia. So you're wanting to keep your muscles strong and explosive. So it's no good having strong muscles, but you can't explode out of a situation. You've got to be able to get
power.
Power. You've got to be strong and powerful.
Yeah.
And so resistance training, protein consumption, avoidance of sarcopenia, not calorie restriction, and
So that matches up with the high intensity interval training too.
Yeah,
as a
but that's the way we would do it here in the developed West, but in a village in Greece or in Italy, I mean, they wouldn't do resistance training per se. I mean, if they live in the blue zones and they live for a long time and they maintain muscle mass and muscle power, what are they doing?
There's a bunch of Smith machines all around the hills.
They got wall balls. They do wall balls. Wall balls. Yeah. They don't stop. You know how we have this thing called retirement age? They don't do that.
That's life.
They just continue to keep on going. So at a young age, and particularly the centenarians that are existing these days. So they were born in the 1930s, 1940s. They didn't have running water. They didn't have heating. They didn't have refrigeration. So they lived a relatively tough life. They had to survive all of that. They got through all of that through farming and climbing mountains and getting water vessels and carrying those water vessels back. And so they built good muscles young. I think this is important. They built strong muscles at a young age. Yeah. So they weren't starting sarcopenic at 30 years old. They were strong as oxes at 30 years old, the men and the women. The women would have the babies young and then continue to tend the farm and then raise the grandchildren and so on and so forth. The men would be involved in Sardinia, for example, we're talking goat herding and milking the goats and making cheese and products and hunting and so on and so forth. And there were very clear roles for men and women in that sort of lifestyle. So they were fit and strong and they ate from the land. They ate the food that they had access to. There was no refrigeration. Yeah. They would preserve their meat.
I just had a bit of an epiphany when you said that, because when you think of 100, you think, wow, what are they doing later in life but actually, so...
They're still living their life.
What were they doing 70, 80, 90 years ago that they actually lived through that gave them this? Because this is the result of what grew inside of them. Yes. So you talk about, strong, resilient, they had to survive difficult conditions, where in some ways we're softer these days.
Softer.
There's less we've had to deal with, where everything comes to us.
Comfort is the enemy.
I can imagine some of the things we see going on now with mobile devices and kids with phones, or adults with phones in their hand and sitting, sentient? No. Sedentary. Yes. Not sentient.
Well, hopefully a little bit sentient.
Glad that I picked up on that. But sedentary.
And we're back.
Think 100 years forward from that. Yeah. It's like, what's that? Because what's that developing and creating inside of us? So it just made me think, oh, right. Actually, what we do, what we grow through is a very big, important part of where we end up.
You did say something that was revealing to that point. You like, when we think about sarcopenia, I think 70, 80, 90, but you mentioned 30 and 40.
That's where.
Do we start becoming sarcopenic that young if we do not exercise our muscles?
From 30 on, we start to decline in our muscle mass.
Yeah. And our bone.
And our bone.
Particularly for women,
For women, And, I think women probably these days with so much estrogen replacement are probably going to lose less bone than what they have in the past. Yeah. That's not going to sub out strength. So you can't...
Exactly. Because I have patients come to me and they're like, oh, I'm worried about my bone density. Should I, go on HRT, or now called MHT? I'm like, that's not going to fix the problem. You've still got to do the exercise. You've still got to get that calcium in, the vitamin D. Yes, that might help you, but it doesn't mean you've got to get rid of all the foundations, or that you can't get away without doing all that work, because that's also the stuff that makes you feel good, the energy and, the muscle and all that kind of stuff.
So
absolutely.
What do you reckon? If I immigrated to Ikaria and took on the lifestyle, would I still, at my age, mid-50s, capture some of the gains that they actually would have had over a lifetime?
100%. It's never too late. Yeah. It's never too late to change. It's never too early. This is the thing. So, if you wait 10 more years and you try and do it, then of course you're still going to get gains. Yeah. It's just harder as we get older. And it's so much easier when our bodies are young and all the cells are nice and young and your muscles are young and strong. So it's so much easier when we're younger to get the gains. We can still get the gains, you just got to work harder as you get older.
You can
and
have
smarter too, like
changes.
understand what you've got to do. Yeah.
You can have quite quickly with, if you're having a very big, change in your environment, cleaner water, less toxins, better food, your food talks to your DNA through epigenetics. So you could have big epigenetic shifts that would actually make your cells and your muscles, and we have studies on this, actually behave like a younger person.
That's good to know.
That would give you an excuse.
Well, I could happily go there. Would you be great? I could herd goats.
I was saying like to behave like a young person.
Woo! Herding goats. Before we dive into today's episode, I've got some exciting news. FutureLab, Australia's first longevity supplement range, is now available at Chemist Warehouse and leading health food stores. Now, this is a lot more than a regular supplement range. It really is a mission. And the experts at FutureLab have developed formulas designed to support your well-being today, tomorrow, and beyond.
So, the blue zone.
Yeah.
What else do you notice? What else is going on that's happening? Like, because I've heard of things like community, wine, good dairy or cheese, or like there's all these different things that are associated with blue zones, and different people that are talking about it, because it's a bit of a buzz thing as well last few years.
Yeah.
What do you really notice? What are the things that you think really making a difference to people?
So good, Trev. I love that you said wine, then good dairy and cheese.
Right.
Because
Because it's
we
not
want to have the wine with the cheese.
Yes.
It's not good wine over there, let me tell you. So,
Right.
so if you're from Korea, I don't mean it. I'm
Apologise.
joking. I can't wait to come back for some more. As a nutritionist naturopath, I've always thought that nutrition was quintessential. Like, I thought it was so important. And by the time we interviewed a guy by the name of Walter Bortz, about episode 10 on 100 Not Out, I began to realise that nutrition isn't necessarily intrinsically linked to longevity. It doesn't promise you longevity. And this was very difficult for me to understand, because my inside, I'd rewired and redesigned all of my DNA and my brain matter to believe 100% that diet would get me there, and probably almost by itself.
Yeah, that's all I have to do.
That's all I got to do. So when we're interviewing these centenarians that have made it to 100 here in Australia, all of them have an appalling diet by anyone's standards.
Some of them
smoke, drink.
Yeah.
They drink 10 to 12 coffees a day. Their last coffee might be at midnight to help them get to sleep.
Oh, that's my dad.
To help them get to sleep.
Yes, and they're having sausages and stuff that you're just thinking, how did you make it? And so what I then started to understand was diet, if it's good, helps you avoid chronic health disease or chronic disease. So we're talking heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancer. And as we fast forward into the future, we're talking dementia, Alzheimer's, because that will be revealed. Like we'll see that. So that's where your diet is going to help you prevent those chronic illnesses, chronic disease. And that's what will probably, from a nutrition perspective, help you get to longevity, is the avoidance of chronic disease.
Yep.
So then you look at movement as being absolutely important, crucial, but it's not necessarily going to the gym. It's not necessarily doing only 50 push-ups a day, or it's not necessarily doing the workout of the day and then you're going to be all good. It's appropriate movement, which is what you said before, Trev, training appropriately. And in this case, when you go to the blue zones, they just continue to move.
It's incidental movement, isn't it? Like you just need to do what you need to do in your day.
Yeah.
And it just happens to incorporate all the movements that we need to be healthy as humans.
Over here, a lot of people sitting.
No,
I was just thinking
over
here,
there.
in front of the
No, I was
computer.
thinking over there.
Yeah.
When we say exercise and we go for a run, that's probably foreign to them. It's like,
Or we
why?
go to the gym and
what
then
do
we
you?
come home and sit down at the
Yeah.
desk.
It's
and
like they just need to do things, and it involves moving their bodies.
Yeah, that's so true, Danny. So if we think about our day, say we wake up in the morning, we walk to the shower, we have a shower, we sit down to have breakfast, we walk from the breakfast table to the car, we sit down driving to work, we walk from the car park, the closest one to the front door, into our office space, we sit down for periods of time, we walk from there to the kitchen to get some food, we walk back to our desk eating the food while we're working, we get up, we walk out of our desk to our car to sit down to drive home. We might go past the gym on the way home and maybe do half an hour, an hour's worth of workout, and we think we've ticked the box of movement. We haven't. And so then we go and sit down again for some dinner. We sit down to watch the TV. We walk to the bed and we fall asleep again, and we rinse and repeat. We do the same thing.
Oh, so
And
this is a
some
bad
people-
example.
and
Is
some
it?
people-
Yeah, bad.
and
I was thinking there's a lot of walking in there.
some people don't even go to the gym, and some
Yeah.
people don't even go to work. Like, for example, myself, I work from home now. for the last 5 years or whatever. Like my office is in the house.
Denise, right, there you go. Right. So you don't have to go very far.
No.
This is the thing. You're
You
walking
need
through
one of those
doors.
treadmills in front of your computer.
Yeah.
Just,
So the point there is that we need to do a lot more movement than just going to the gym for half an hour or an hour a day,
How
or
do we
2 or
do
3
that?
times
How
a
do we
week.
do that in our obviously technological, convenient lifestyles?
Movement snacks.
Movement snacks.
Right.
So good. That's TM. That's trademarked. But
Paul Taylor. I took it from Paul Taylor.
He's already got it.
If he's listening to this, he's probably like, she took my word. I'm
You'll find
acknowledging
a
you.
We love
variation
Paul.
on that.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
All right. Movement meals. There we go. That's what you got to do. You got to find time to move with purpose. Now, when you said, what do we see over there? These are the two most important things that contribute to the number one most important thing that keeps people alive, in my opinion. There's purpose and engagement and community. So we have purpose and engagement, which brings community. So people maintain their purpose, and their purpose, let's say it's to raise their grandchildren. For me, it might be, I'll say play golf. So I want to play golf. That's my purpose. I get out of bed. It gets me out of bed every single day. I keep on doing that, and that's my reason for existing.
Yeah.
That's not true, but let's just say that is the case. For them, it could be that they're looking after the grandchildren, or it might be that they're tending to a shop, or it might be that they've got to go and look after some elderly parents or whatever, but they live a purpose-driven life. It's very important. They maintain engagement.
So just to that point, because I'm thinking when we think of purpose, because we have an individualistic sort of outlook on life here in the West. I mean, they're part of the West as well, but a different part. When we think purpose, I want to achieve this for myself,
Or I want to change the world.
It's usually whereas I don't know. I'm just taking a stab here, but is purpose for them also? I need to do this for the community.
I think they're married
their
together,
family.
aren't they? Purpose and community.
Yeah.
So
or it's
because
it's
we
part
don't
of
tend
it.
to think like that. Like now, I want to do this for my own self-development, or I think I'll enjoy it. We don't tend to think of that the community needs it, and I need the community to survive as well.
I think if you broke it down, you might see that you are. So
We just don't think like that.
No, but the podcast brings together a community, for example. So I have a 100 Out podcast community. There's thousands of people that listen to us, and we see that as a community. I've got my practice, and that's a community, and people come into my practice, and that's a community. I'm
So
part of.
you recognise that.
Yeah, but on purpose.
Yeah.
So I purposely recognise which communities I'm a part of. My golf club, I'm a member of that community. I'm a member of the community where I live in Middle Park, and so I go down to the shops, and I know all of the shop owners, and I chat with them, and I know the gym owner, and I know the local massage therapist.
See, you sound like an outlier.
Yeah, well, maybe this inspires people to do something that's similar, because in my pursuit of longevity, these are the things that I'm recognising are important. So nutrition, I feel like I've got that to at least 80%, at least. Probably it could be better. It might be slightly worse. Don't quote me on that. But so we're there. And then from a movement perspective, I move a lot. I'm running. I'm at the gym. Not necessarily the gym, but I'm doing body weight training. I play a lot of golf. I'm a chiropractor, so that's very physical. So I'm doing lots of things from a movement perspective. From an engagement perspective, I'm still doing presentations. If you ask me to be on a podcast, it's an automatic yes. I'm out at different corporate events and speaking. In my community, in my practice, I'm engaged. In my community, where I live, I'm engaged. With my family, I'm engaged. So there's that. And then from a purpose perspective, we spoke about that. So there's your tenets. So there's like some really important 5 pieces of the puzzle to longevity that are really important. If you look at the World Health Organization, they might consider that finance is really important. Because the wealthier countries in the world you would expect would have a better health system, but the reality is that Australia has really good longevity, but really poor morbidity. Like our last 12 years of our life are ranked, I think, 21 or 22 in the world, like some of the worst. It's no good. So we're just doing things wrong. So I don't think finance has got as much to do with it as the other things, because you could not have a lot of money and still live an exceptional life,
yeah.
But that comes down to education a lot of the time as well. So
Well,
Or awareness, like as opposed to education. Education is a funny word, but
okay. So what I'm trying to say is, I suppose you could interchange it with awareness. But yes, you can definitely live a healthy life and not be necessarily wealthy, But if you do come from a wealthy area, you're more likely to be educated enough to know what health is and how to achieve it.
And health literacy.
So those people from poorer communities are just unaware of what health is and what it means to be healthy.
We have guidelines published in the Lancet, probably due to be updated soon. They've had 2 versions, but looking at risks for Alzheimer's and dementia. So aside from, ApoE, genetics that I do, but education is actually, I think it's like I'm not sure how they get these numbers, but it's like a 6%, because you've got smoking, obesity, head traumas. Now, air pollution was added in the last one, 2% increased risk for Alzheimer's, dementia if you're exposed to a lot of air pollution. But it puts together all of these things based on evidence. It's the Lancet, one of our top medical journals. But education is, lack of education is a risk factor. And I think that comes down to perhaps they're maybe in a lower socioeconomic area, maybe they're not getting the same level of healthcare or food, but as I said, the health literacy. Sometimes people just don't, they'll buy the cereal with the 5 stars on the thing and go, well, I'm being really healthy, but actually you're still just getting refined stuff that doesn't have real nutrients.
Two things I want to say just quickly. One, first one is when you're talking about these different aspects like the community, the purpose, everything, and you talking about your life now because you're learning from this environment that's way over there. Yeah. But you're bringing that version back to the way you see all your communities and the way you feed them. Yeah. I'm really hearing 2 words you didn't say, but I'm hearing is love and care. Yeah. You know, that you're living with a sense of purpose, that the person in front of me is important to me in this moment and I'm attending to them. Yeah. And there's a sense of care and, dare I say it, love and affection and getting to know each other. I see you again. And the very fact that I love the puppy dog analogy, that when the dog sees us when we come home, it lights up and its tail starts to wag, Yeah. But often, maybe in some situations when the wife or the husband come home, oh, you again, you're back,
I know, how sad's that?
But the enthusiasm of the dog that is unconditional, that just sees, you're back. I think living that way where you see people and go, oh, good to see you again. Like we saw each other today, it's like, hey, mate,
And a great hug too.
Great hug, yeah. I think, I feel that changes so much and once again, a cascade of things that happen in our body comes from this living from a place of love, care, attention to the moment, attention to others. Yeah. I find that really fascinating. So I'd love to see what you think about that. But also just a side note, when you said that, I had another little, air. I think air quality is a massive thing. They've just added air quality into this measurement to show that it leads to these things. I think that's a wonderful, one of the big reasons why some of these communities are having great longevity as well. So, but
clean air.
Start with love and care and that concept of attention to people. I'm sure that makes a difference.
For sure, Trev. Well, they don't have secrets. So everybody in the community knows everything. So if someone
I feel like that would cause a lot of high cortisol. God, maybe they're different communities.
Only when you got stuff to hide.
Yeah, only if there's stuff to hide.
God, what did I just disclose?
Right. Heidi girl over there.
Yeah. Well, let's
call you Heidi from now.
So they're in their community. It's not like they know everything, but there's kind of no secrets. So, if Yanni or Yawana is unwell, everyone in the community knows.
And everyone thinks, can we contribute in some way? And someone turns up with the pie or someone turns up, whatever it is.
That's exactly right. And people are going and checking on them and they're aware and, have you caught up with, Peter today? Or have you,
that's an element of community that as much as what you have described is your life, that can't exist surely to the extent it does in those parts of the world where the community comes together.
I bet he's seeding it, though. I bet it's starting to happen.
Absolutely.
It happens with some communities.
But I suppose where my head is at the moment is you are doing amazing things to recognise what makes a good life and a long and healthy life, that it's represented in that part of the world. How can I replicate that here?
Be the change you want to see in your world. Yep.
But I'm just thinking there's got to be gaps because we're trying to recreate this in many cases from a low base.
Yes, and very disconnected. I feel like
but it's
if
a human
Australians
thing.
can be quite... I mean, I just know my family, nothing against my family, but we're very disconnected. That's not necessarily a good thing, though. Like, I quite like with community. Obviously, I've got my community too, and, you know, I'm the same as you. If there's a podcast, I'm always, you know, going to conferences, connecting with my people, sharing the knowledge. Yeah. I love it, but I do think there's a big disconnect, and I agree too. And again, talking about risk factors for Alzheimer's and all chronic conditions, social isolation is a big thing that is a risk factor for cognitive decline, mental health issues. And getting back to that no secrets, I mean, the first thing I thought is, God, do you want everyone knowing your business? But the reality is, all of a sudden, you have a support network. And I think when you look at the mental health issues that are skyrocketing here in other countries, often people are suffering alone.
It's so true, Denise. We used to have churches. So people would go to church and on a Sunday, then they'd have a lunch and they'd all hang out and they'd share stories.
Top them up for the week.
Yeah, they'd all share stories. When we were in Sardinia recently, we went to a little town called Oroli. We were sitting around, was actually walking through, and there was a group of men sitting over there, and we walked over to them. We introduced ourselves. We had a Sardinian translator for us, and Evo asked them what they were doing. They said, "Oh, we just sit around. We come here every Wednesday. We're here at 9:30 in the morning. We sit here for an hour or two, and we tell each other lies." And they just laugh, and there's that sense of community. Their purpose is to kind of catch up with each other, and then they walk around and share wine with each other. And Oroli has more centenarians in it than any other place in Sardinia, but it's not considered one of the blue zones. So it's really interesting.
Why is that? What makes it different?
I don't think they went through the certification process, but they have better statistics. So there's the blue zone thing is a brand now, and
certified blue zone.
That's right. So it's right. So it's a brand. I want to sort of go back to the fresh air thing, and then the health education thing. So health literacy is different because there's people with health literacy that in their health literacy decision-making process, it's down a particular line of health literacy. And so for them, it'll be, I've got a non-inflammatory pain at the moment, so I'm going to take paracetamol. I've got inflammatory pain at the moment, so I'm going to take ibuprofen. And so that's the extent of their health literacy. And so they would argue, black and blue, that every decision that they make around health is informed because they've got health literacy. But that could in fact lead you down a pathway of a cascade of intervention. Yeah. And so we see people who would say that they've got high degrees of health literacy making poor health decisions, because when we around this table think about health, we're thinking great food, great water, movement, exercise, avoidance of pharmaceuticals as much as we can, avoidance of surgery as much as we can, integrative approaches to health and well-being and longevity. Whereas someone who would argue that they're health literate could be making poor quality choices but are considered to be very health literate. So we've got to be careful with how we define that. So when we go to Ikaria, they would only just be now coming into a second world country or location. They would have been third world when we first moved there, or close to just coming out of third world. Very poor, not a lot of access to resource, no supermarkets on the island. I think there's one policeman on the island, no ambulances. The hospital's on the other side of the island. There's no old people's homes. But
did they consider themselves poor?
No, they don't even know that we're rich. They don't even know. They have no idea.
Like they don't know the word stress.
This is it. They don't value. Like there's no value placed on those words or that behaviour. And so what is really interesting is they have 50% less heart disease, 30% less diabetes, and 25% less dementia, something like that. Like it's these numbers. They're outrageous numbers, and they have zero health literacy.
And they don't have the health care.
They have no health care.
All the medical interventions that
care.
we suggest in conventional medicine are going to protect
that you
you
can't
from
do
these
without.
things.
This is it.
Come and save the day, all these things.
This is it, right? So they're having food that's in season. They move all of the time. They have a community with a sense of purpose, and they maintain engagement. They know what's happening next door. They know what's happening to their cousin, their aunties, their uncles. They maintain a unit of family, whether or not that's your mates or whether it's the people that you're born into. Their family is built of people that they love, and which is really important. Marcus and I often have this conversation. In his book, he's got a beautiful book called Your Exceptional Life. You would have seen that, Trev.
Yep.
Great, amazing book, and in it he talks about the 8 things that are required for longevity. And I argue that it's 7 things, and he says it's 8. And I say, no. Family and friends are the same. He goes, no, they're separate. And I go, no, they're the same.
No, because sometimes your friends are like your family.
Exactly. And you don't have to choose to hang out with the family that you don't want to hang out with. They might have been born for you, and presented on a platter. These are some friends you can have. We call them family, but you don't have to take that on. And so they surround themselves with people they want to be around. And there's people, of course, there's personality clashes. So they don't necessarily spend time on those people, but they know about those people, and they would care for them. If they fell over, they go and pick them up.
That's right. There still is a degree of care there. If something happened to them, the community would,
because the community cares. That's exactly right.
And the one that you didn't mention there was they tend to their own soil.
Yes.
For generations.
They do. They have their
own
own
soil is part of their family.
Yeah.
Their soil is the part of their, what they're doing, is part of what their inheritance almost.
Yeah. It is their inheritance.
It's not some other big organisation coming along, going, ripping it up, putting crops in. Oh, we can speed up the process here. It's all done.
And they don't
Everything's a sense of care and connection. There's a concept I just want to throw in here quickly, that the great spiritual truth is that we are all one.
Yeah.
We share one life force, and the great spiritual deception is that we're deceived by our eyes to think that we're separate, and we're in competition for resources and everything else. Certainly in the worst versions of the Western world, we're really playing out this competition thing, and the best versions of other aspects of the world, they're playing out the connection thing. Because I look at it often, I think the closer we are to the great truth, it's just a viewpoint, but the closer we are to the great truth that we are all one, and I see if Danny's struggling, and it actually concerns me, So we've talked about different things.
I think
Dan
I
has
it to you as well.
sleep things and everything else, and we talked about today at lunch. It's like I genuinely feel great to hear of his successes that he's happening in sleep, because I think about it. I think my friend is having problems with sleep.
Terrible.
So that feeling, as I've got older, I've started to see everybody as important to me.
Yeah.
And particularly the people that I'm associating or attracted to, the law of attraction, they're my tribe. And that's a large group of people growing. So it doesn't mean I keep in contact with all of them all the time, but when I see them, I go, oh, I see a family member. And that the closer I get in my own wisdom or whatever it is, and I'm really comparing it to where I was, it's everybody's important to me. Where before it was important that I finish on top and in front, with the lion's share of the resources, and hold on to it for as long as I possibly can, and set myself up for future success.
Yeah.
It was all past, future, good, bad, right, wrong. It was all duality, winning. And as that's dying off inside of me, I'm noticing that a lot of things that you're talking about, I naturally do in myself as well. I literally notice myself having moved to Currumbin Valley on the Gold Coast from Mermaid Beach. I literally notice myself really actually, oh, hey, and talking to the people. And you go, when you fall into a community, you start to actually, it's not like you manufacture it.
No.
If you're ready, it feels like it just rebounds back to you.
Yeah.
But we don't know that when we're in the other mode of thinking, which is got to get ahead, got to stay ahead, got to stay ahead of my own troubles, whatever it is that we're trying to get away from. So the more I've got in the moment, the more I've found that the connection is a natural thing amongst all of us. But that's what I'm feeling when you're saying
need
is
to be
that
open to it, like you say, it's there.
They're not sitting back there going, the great spiritual truth is that we're all one. They're actually just living closer to that truth without even knowing it.
Without even thinking about it.
They just see each other as important to each other.
One of the greatest movies of all time describes that exact thing, and no one really sees what this movie is all about, and it's Avatar.
I love Avatar.
Yes.
And Avatar,
my favourite,
speaks to the interconnectedness of all things.
Well, we
right?
do,
Of
because
all
they've got the
things,
tree.
yes.
How could you not
the
pick
mother
it up?
tree.
This is
Yes.
it. And a lot of people just saw it as a science fiction thing, right?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know people saw it like that.
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, and I would talk to people about Avatar in my practice, and I'm like, you got to watch Avatar. What the blue people? I'm like, yeah, the blue people. And so we're talking about it.
Talk about Blue Zone.
Yeah, that's the origin of the blue zones. And so there's a butterfly effect. It's every single thing that you do, every single thought that you have, every single
affects the whole.
It all affects the whole. And so, hearing you say that it's not possible, or there's too many gaps.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I just wanted to highlight where the gaps are, as a way of perhaps understanding why we're where we are compared to the blue zone and what we need to do to get there.
What's really interesting, because I think Australia could be a blue zone.
Yep.
I really do. We've got enough centenarians. We've got enough people living a long time.
We've got places with clean air. Look where we live. It's just stunning. Yep.
Singapore's doing it. Singapore's now the 6th blue zone, right? So,
wow.
Really?
Yeah. So they're doing
that's a
it.
densely populated city.
Very densely populated,
Yeah.
but the government set things up in such a way that it's only 500 metres from anywhere, wherever you are in all of Singapore, to access a train station. So you go underground. Everything up on top, they're trying to get rid of cars. So they're discouraging purchasing cars. So they make a license a couple of $100,000. To buy a car is ridiculously expensive. It's another extra couple of $100,000 to buy a car. And so you only got a car if you're a Grab driver or an Uber driver. We call it Uber here. And so they've got that. And then so they're encouraging walking. The government funds, subsidises healthy meals. And so by healthy meals,
really?
it's the
maybe
healthy
for the people that live there. I go there sometimes for work. I haven't noticed any subsidies.
100%.
Maybe not for us as the tourism.
So when you go to the hawker halls, you go to the hawker markets. If you go into the hawker market, you'll see like a little plant logo next to the thing, and it's cheaper. And it's not only cheaper, but the government gives money to the stallholder for when they sell that item.
Wow.
Yeah, and so there's encouragement to eat better. And so they're doing that. They encourage movement. They have...
And they're so clean. There's no rubbish.
No rubbish. This is
Is
it.
there no smoking thing in Singapore?
No chewy.
No chewing gum.
No chewing
Don't
gum.
get in big trouble if you.
Yeah.
And I think no chewing gum for a very long time, because my mum was a travel agent before she had me, and I'm 46, and I know she was talking about things because she was starting to take people over to some of these countries, and I remember my dad talking about the no chewing gum as a small child. So this is not a new thing, by the way.
Yeah, interesting.
What
isn't
I
it?
like about that is, there's always that part of a country acting in a way that this is the way it's going to be for you from now on. We're going this direction.
Yeah.
But I like it. People can leave. Like I'm not really into my government telling me exactly what I'm going to do and exactly how I'm going to do it. But I also I always have the choice of leaving. You know.
Having Victoria.
So, but I like it when their genuine aim is to make a more healthy environment. And you're not up for that.
Finland's doing it. Finland's, on purpose to do that. When we went to Ikaria, the first time we were in Ikaria, we were sitting at a table and some Finnish people came over to us and started chatting. We're chatting with them and we said, what do you guys do? They said, we're from the Ministry of Health, from the Finnish government, and we're here to see what we could take back to Finland to help our people live a healthier life and to be independent and autonomous from the government. We're like, what do you mean? They said, we've got thousands of islands and we'd love to have people live on these islands and not have to rely on the government and our resources. So we want to work out how do we provide energy and water and make it fully self-sustainable so that they can live in this environment that's clean and natural and live a long time and healthy without needing resources from government like healthcare and energy and so on and so forth. And so they were there learning all of that in Ikaria so that they could take it back.
Did you introduce them to the Australian government people that were there as well, studying it?
We didn't have any Australian government people there.
Oh, they weren't there, right?
Unfortunately, they couldn't make it.
I reckon it wouldn't be far before someone hears you, though, and says, let's go do it.
It'd be good,
There's
if
a
you're
lot
listening.
clearly that we can learn from those parts of the world. Do you think there's anything that they can learn from us? I mean, the longevity movement is certainly taking off here. We're looking at things like boosting NAD, taking nicotinamide riboside, berberine. There are certain things that are considered longevity nutrients or longevity supplements. Do they have a place in your thinking?
If I'm looking at the blue zones, they didn't need any of that.
Yeah.
Their mitochondria is probably still firing because, why are we having nicotinamide riboside feed into the NAD, feed our mitochondria?
Well,
if they're moving all the time, they've naturally...
But if you listen to the
Fresh air.
science, it naturally declines anyway. So
True.
if they live till 100, could we extend it further? Is there a desire to do that? Is it?
Yeah, I don't think they desire to live a long time. In fact, some of them go, we're just lucky we got here. I didn't start out thinking I was going to live to 100 years old. And, when Marcus and I talk about this all the time on our podcast, we talk about what does longevity mean? Like, does it mean living forever and never dying? You've got people like Brian
some people
Johnson.
it does.
Brian Johnson, for example.
Yeah.
He does, or who's the guy who says that dying is a choice? Anyway, there's another.
I think it is Brian Johnson. He's the one.
Yeah.
Sinclair.
It might be David Sinclair.
Yeah.
I'm not
David
too sure.
Sinclair is
but
now
yeah.
talking about obviously living for a really, really long time.
Yeah, like to 150 or something. And this has never been done before. Like the oldest person on the planet, I think, made it to about 111, 112.
They're also doing things that we don't want to do. The conversation we had before we came in here, like the rapamycins and stuff. And then
Well, he's not
was a
taking that
complication.
anymore.
Yes, they've stopped both of them, Brian
Both of them,
Johnson and
yeah.
David Sinclair.
That's right. They've stopped it.
Could we circle back to the food? Because I agree with actually everything you're saying to a degree. Like it's hard for someone because we're the same. We use nutrition as medicine.
Yeah.
So when I hear you say it, there's a little part of me, it's like, but food is so important. But I agree with you in the sense that when I ran I used to run a 12-month autoimmune recovery program after being sick. But the diet was month 5. So we started with stress and sleep. We started with chemicals and toxins.
Yeah.
We had all these things. And people were quite frustrated. They're like, just tell me what to eat. And I was like, but there are so many things that I want you to understand before we get to the food. Like it is part of your healing journey.
Yeah.
But there are other things we need to do that are actually going to make it much easier for you to sustain and enjoy and want that healthy food if we get those things in place.
Yeah.
But I agree with you in a sense that maybe nutrition's not so important, but I feel like their food, and you've already said it, but just to clarify for the listeners, would be so much better quality than ours.
Yeah.
And even though diet's not sort of so important, they're not getting the ultra-processed food with the chemicals, the toxins, the pesticides,
100%.
and even talking about the NAD boosters, nicotinamide riboside. We know the mitochondria gets affected by oxidative stress. DNA damages chemicals and toxins, all these things that affect epigenetics, they're not getting exposed to those same things.
Denise, you're spot on. You are spot on 100%. So I'm of the firm belief that a great diet is so important. It's the number one most easy self-modifiable factor in our life that we can all take control of with our next meal. Like we can easily change our diet so easily if we choose to. Not a problem.
So that's a simple start.
Easy start.
Good basis to work from.
Easy start.
Yep.
So if we go back to what we've identified in the centenarians that live in Australia who had a bad diet, they managed to avoid chronic health or chronic disease. Right? So they didn't get diabetes, they didn't get heart disease till later, they didn't get dementia. So that they managed to avoid that. When I say they managed to, it's by pure luck or genetics that they missed out on getting that stuff. Because their diet, for someone who's less lucky, poorer quality genetics.
So they got there in
probably
spite of their lifestyle, not because of it.
Yes.
This is it. This is where you look at some of the centenarians over in Icaria and Sardinia. They say we're just lucky. We just got here. We didn't mean it. We just got here. So
but a lot more of them got there.
But you were talking quality of air, quality of food, the movement,
not just
purpose,
luck.
engagement. There's all of these things. But when we talk about us, like even from a FutureLab perspective, and we're talking about all of the supplements that we could take, they're all physiological metabolic biohacks that we can add to our lifestyle to assist us in moving in a more longevity direction. We would use these substances to assist us in preventing early decline, which is chronic disease. So not necessarily. I would go as far to say I don't know if any of these supplements will help us live beyond 100. I've got no idea. But what I do know is that all of these supplements would contribute to helping our body avoid chronic disease. And that's what I think the pursuit is to avoid chronic disease. And then all of the other fabrics, all the other pieces of the fabric, which is community, purpose, engagement, movement, all of that then enables us to live a long time. That's the stuff.
I really like the way you've summarised that because that's how it feels to me. Having been through an athletic past and then gone through a bit of a...
Well, you had Nutrigrain.
Yes.
You know,
so I was
and
the
you're still
Vitamix
here,
guy.
right?
Oh,
you're
I was the
I
Vitamix guy.
made the same mistake. I said, I'll
Did
put you on the front of Nutrigrain. He was like, it's Vitabrits.
That was great, Kenny, on the front of Nutrigrain.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're Vitabrits.
TJ, my son, got on the Nutrigrain box,
Did he?
but I was on the Vitabrits box.
Vitabrits.
There we go.
Well, my dad ate
But even
Vitabrits.
that,
So did my
coming
brother.
out of 14 Vitabrits a morning, and then I discovered I was dairy intolerant. I'm having a litre of milk every morning. So then it was soy milk, believe it or not, and then later, of course, we got almond milks, and now in almond milks we see all the seed oils, and so many times something comes as the new thing, and then you go, oh, hang on, what about that? But I look at it from my own perspective of 56 years of age. I've got a real purpose in my life. I've got enough awareness to keep me exploring and loving my life, right? But as I move forward, I'm noticing the body changes I go through and everything else. And one of the things I've noticed with the FutureLab range, because I've been around and involved in that, and it's almost been an organic fit for me, the direction I'm going, I was like, oh, wow. Is that all of a sudden I started to see all of the nutrients that I was missing and started to understand what have I not had for a long time based on just what I've been ingesting in my Western diet, even though it's a healthy one. And all of a sudden I saw the supplement range come in. I'm like, so what's this? Tell me about that. What's this? Tell me about that. And I started taking these certain things that as an ambassador I can't even really talk about. But what I can say is that I noticed it was all of a sudden like having a different version of a fruit salad for me. I said this to Danny this morning. It's like these different colours of things that I'm having. It's like a fruit salad. But my numbers are changing. Things are happening in my system.
We are reversing your biological
my
age.
biological age is reversing.
Nice.
I'm aging at about 0.73 at the moment per
we'll
year.
We'll get you better than Brian Johnson. I don't think I'm there. I don't think I'm there right now because I dropped off.
He spends millions,
but
doesn't he?
if you believe the results, and I actually had them replicated 3 times because I said to the lab in the US, I'm just not sure. But when I finished in end of 2023, because I really focused on my health, stopped drinking. I'd come out of caring for my dad and I just knew my health wasn't good. I was worried that I might, have an autoimmune flare again and just do what I do, just get into research and started a community. Didn't have my business hat on, didn't make money, was like, can't pay the mortgage, but I've got 60 people and we're doing a reversing biological age study.
Yeah.
But my Dunedin pace came down to 0.63.
Wow.
So that is a little bit lower than Brian Johnson, and I did that through diet. We've already talked about the protocol openly with Donna Aston. I said what the nutrition was, veggies, a certain amount of clean protein, a few key supplements, but mainly not drinking, focusing on my sleep, having a bit of mindfulness, and huge change in a short. That's what I was talking about with the environmental stuff and the epigenetics. If you can believe these epigenetic age clocks, by the way, they're new, they're evolving. I wouldn't necessarily call it hard science, but we've got enough evidence to say they are linked with the development of chronic diseases and things. But you can slow this aging process very quickly when you start putting all the right things in and stop being exposed to all the other things that are causing you inflammation, oxidative stress. And I guess the supplements where they come in too, I see them kind of like the icing on the cake, like the edge. In our last podcast, we talked a lot about insulin resistance,
Yes.
and maybe something like berberine can help. That just gives you that little bit extra when you're struggling with your insulin because of the diet or something else, whatever it may be. For me, you've mentioned B vitamins at the start. Someone who's done a PhD in, methylation, epigenetics, whatever, I'm such a big fan of B vitamins. Most people are under chronic stress. They need more B vitamins.
Yeah.
We need more magnesium.
Yeah.
And that's because we live a certain kind of lifestyle and we're exposed to certain things. We need just that little bit extra, but you never want to forget.
And that's the position I would come from, is that we don't live that stress-free. I'm saying that they're probably not stress-free. They probably deal with stress in a different way. But
different stress.
Yeah, but we live a much more high-stressed, chronic stress, depleted lifestyle. And I don't know if food in our world cuts it to give us the nutrients we need. I'm thinking magnesium, certain B vitamins, and as we get older, I think nicotinamide riboside does help with mitochondrial stress. We start to
I had it in my
produce less
protocol.
NAD.
You've got it.
So, I mean, maybe you've got a different perspective. I just don't know how we get there without supplements in this world these days. If we're living,
That's because we're under high
Can I-
stress.
But that's exactly the point.
I'll close the loop on what I was saying just quickly as well, and that is that I feel like some ancient wisdoms have got modern versions, and that's what a lot of this nutrition is.
Yeah.
So even with the Icarians, that there's herbal use. The saying, no one in the room is as smart as everyone in the room, and it relates to this room, but it relates to this whole planet.
Yeah.
There's communities around the world that have got pieces to the whole puzzle. If the puzzle is living a great, healthy life that's active and fulfilled and there's a lot of love present, then the world has the answers in different people all around the world. And I see things like, because berberine came up, that berberine's one that's actually, very connected to ancient herbs that have been used for a long time. So I just find modern versions of it.
Have we got time? Like, what is the traditional culture, medicinal culture and healing? Because most, ancient cultures do have this, is they use herbal medicine and...
It's largely all gone. It's largely all gone. Yeah. So even if you look at Okinawa, for example, Okinawa are unlikely to continue being a blue zone.
Yes.
So that's a naval base, a US naval base these days. KFC are there, Macca's are there, In and Out, they're all there. And so the rate of diabetes in Okinawa is the greatest in all of Japan. And so they've lost it.
That's an irony.
I know. Ikaria, they don't have any kind of traditional medicine healers anymore. Like they're probably still seeing a doctor, but they're just not seeing the doctor as early as what we might see the doctor.
Is there a chance that that some of their benefit for these centenarians has come from the fact that they did once see those traditional healers and it was simple connected medicines?
Yeah, it's a great thought, Trev. Maybe. I don't know whether or not in Dan Buettner's research they covered that. I don't know if they did. Certainly, I haven't seen that. But I will, when I get there, because I'm going again in August, I'll ask and come back to you
See
with
if
that.
any of those, the elders in the community
Yeah.
remember what the traditional medicine was, or if there were certain herbs or certain compounds that they commonly used that were local.
Well, they're all growing on the side of the road. Here we just poison them. But you've got all the herbs, so you just grab it. So they'll go and grab stuff. And so, we wanted a tea one night. Someone was feeling poorly, and so Thea said, let me make you tea. So she goes and gets some mountain tea and just pulls it from a bush and then just steeps it. And then that was it's a kind of medicine,
Wow.
So
it is. We're putting into supplements, but they just grab them and then have them.
Straight from the plant. Yeah, that's exactly right. There's something that I wanted to kind of touch on before, it was just the stressors, right? Stressors. And so there's 3 stressors. So if we talk about the emotional stress, this is when we say stress, often we think this is it, but that's only one part of stress. There's the chemical stressors, which is what Denise was talking about before, and the elimination of chemical stressors from your diet is far better than the introduction of a less stressed diet. You've got to remove the chemical stressors. Yep. And then you've got your physical stressors, which is sitting down, injuries, not enough sleep, whatever, even
movement,
blue light impacting the brain, this is all a physical stressor, so these sorts of things, we need to consider stress as a 3-pronged thing. So we're talking the impact of stress on the body from 3 different angles. It's the chemical and emotional and physical stressors that we need to consider when we're talking about that. And I agree with you, Danny. We live in an environment where there's a lot of stress, like a lot of stress.
And all 3.
We are in an environment where you could say that because the stress is there for a long time, it deserves the word chronic. But I think on a daily basis, we experience acute stress. And it's just like repeated chronic or acute micro-traumas on a daily basis. And that is
compared to our
natural
self, it's become normal. We've just said this.
Like we said, I just said, a couple of weeks off, which I don't usually have a lot of time off. When you run a business and you're so passionate, you just work all the time. But I actually had a little bit of time off.
Yeah.
I hung out at the beach and, I noticed the difference. We were talking about weight in some of the
You lost a couple of kilos.
I lost a couple of kilos and I was like, amazing, I've been wanting to do that for a while. Guess what? I'm back at work only a few weeks
Straight
later
back
and they're
on.
back. And I was like,
oh, there they are. I didn't lose them at all. There they are.
They were with me.
I breathed them back in.
That just shows, that was actually just my lifestyle and being a bit more relaxed and, probably sleeping a bit better, not having the cortisol. I wasn't making big changes to my diet, hadn't got back onto my protocol. My plan is to get back into the protocol because all my perimenopause symptoms stopped as well.
Yeah.
Whether that, you never know, they fluctuate.
There's your B5, B6 thing, isn't it? It's amazing.
So cortisol, I noticed when I travel internationally, which I have a lot this year, and the no sleep is when things are exacerbated.
We can nail you. Yeah, so this is where I see supplements being so important. And in my practice, I recommend supplementation to boost a healthy lifestyle, not just a healthy diet. So it's all of these things that we're talking about. And in my practice, when I'm talking with my chiropractic patients or my nutrition patients, when they ask for supplementation, I investigate first, what else are you doing to help you be well?
Yeah, what are we covering up?
Because it's not going to come in a jar.
Finding out what that person needs.
Yeah.
Because we're all a little bit different.
We're all different.
When you find out what that person needs and you're giving them that particular
Something's played up with your mic there. Do you want to try and see that black cord under it? And I'll get it.
Oh. Dun, dun, dun.
We're probably going to do the last 3 questions too.
Yeah.
Yep.
But how much have we missed?
Just tap the mic.
Just that bit.
Yeah, all good. Sorry.
Okay.
Play on. All right, kick the ball.
To start
we're
that
On the full,
response.
on the full, yeah.
Start that thing again. And
Well,
testing.
you just can talk about what you do with your patients.
Yeah. Yeah. So in my practice, I'm investigating when they ask me about supplementation, what should they take? I'm trying to understand what it is that they're already doing to create health and well-being in their life before I supplement with them.
Or create problems.
True. Yeah.
And some investigations to find out what they uniquely need, because not everyone needs the same supplements.
Yeah, they're all different. Everyone's
All
different.
right, well, we're getting close to wrapping it up, but I suppose, look, we've covered a lot of ground there. Is there, I suppose, in your mind, a way that we can sort of package that up? What would be the most practical takeaways that you would convey to the average person based on what you have learned from Blue Zones and what we can apply in this world, in our modern
Go
world?
on your retreat in August.
Yeah.
Come on. Come with us over to Ikaria. Small groups we take, only small
It
groups.
does sound
yeah.
enticing.
Yeah, we take a
August,
maximum
you
of
said,
15 people. Yeah,
Right.
maximum of 15 people come with us to Ikaria or Sardinia, or both. They can come to both.
Tiger went with you, didn't he? Did Mark Kluwer go on your one
no,
of yours?
but he did go.
Yes.
He went
Okay.
to Sardinia the year before we went.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget Tiger. Yeah.
Yes.
So you can find out information about that on our website, 100nightout.com. But to bring it back to the bits that you can take away, it really does come down to the key tenets of longevity, which are the purpose, engagement, movement, nutrition, community. Like, that's it. So it's not one without the other. And don't get overwhelmed with it. Try and work out what it is that's the easiest to change. So Denise and I, because we see patients, we have in our mind a protocol, and we'd like everybody to go in that direction. But in giving our best service, it's about meeting people where they're at. So if they can't find purpose just yet, let's work on their food if they're ready to. If they're ready to move more, but they can't change their diet yet, let's just get them moving, and then work with people to eventually get there, to get that whole approach. But to see that whole approach in action, then you go and live in those communities and you see it and you actually witness it and you see how simple it is, because we can easily complicate longevity. We can easily complicate it. We can easily complicate wellness. And we've seen how complicated wellness can get. You just look at that Netflix documentary at the moment.
Well, look at Brian Johnson and the crazy things he's doing to his body. So complicated. And actually, I think he looks worse, and he's probably just causing himself accelerated aging in the end. Something's...
It's so interesting. It's so interesting. Yeah, and we had that
Good
show.
on him for showing us, though.
I think
We
so.
get
Like,
to- we get to watch and
Thank
see.
you for letting
From
me
his
watch.
mistakes.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad he's doing it, because I'm actually interested to see what happens.
What
And there'll be
works,
people that
what
want to
doesn't.
follow that and do that. And I don't mind, if somebody wants to run a 4-minute mile, go for gold. Like, if you want to go and see if you can live to 130, go for gold. Try whatever you've got to try and make it work. It's just not the way I want to do it,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that.
And
So.
I've seen firsthand, and I don't think I'm the only one, because we're doing similar, exact same testing that he's doing. As I think as good a results through diet, lifestyle, and supplementation, and so the mindfulness, the sleep. So I don't necessarily think you need to go to such extremes, because he's doing some very invasive, extreme things. And just getting back to the protocol, I think what you said too, for all of the listeners. I tend to use this word protocol because that's sort of what I put in place in 2023. And, we have all of these things we want to do. But that can be overwhelming, and it's a certain kind of person that's got to be the right time for them to be able to embrace all of that.
Yeah.
And often there is no right time. There are so many things going on. So like you said, find the easiest thing, or the thing you think that's lacking. Is it community? Do you need to get out there and join the bowling club, or, were you religious, get back to church, or whatever it may be? Or is it there is a nutrient deficiency, you've done some blood tests with your doctor, have that, or, go to bed earlier, don't scroll. Like, one thing, just take away
Starts
out
with
of everything
one.
we
Yeah.
said. It's like, what is something that you could start with? Just that one thing, because if you do too many, you're probably going to drop off.
You will drop it. Yep.
Clarification, purpose, engagement, movement, nutrition, community.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
That'll be it.
That sounds good.
Purpose, engagement, movement. Movement, purpose, engagement, nutrition, community.
There you go, 5.
5 pillars.
The hand.
5.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Trademark to you.
I so love and appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Trevor.
Brother from another
You too.
mother. So cool to reconnect. Got a question for you that we ask everybody. I often ask this question in the way of, with all our collective wisdom, if you were able to get an extra 20 years of really incredibly, of incredible wellness and great health and everything, I'm not going to ask if you could. You are going to. So what are you going to do with it? Why do you want it? What do you want to do with an extra 10, 20 years of great health? What's your deeper why?
My number one why is I want to watch what my son's capable of. I want to see what he's capable of, because I really think he's got a great opportunity to live an extraordinary life. Wow. It's nothing selfish or
That's Jack?
Yeah, Jack. I want to see what he's capable of achieving, because I think he's capable of achieving great things. And that for me would bring ultimate fulfillment. So I'll look after his kids and all that sort of stuff, and Amber and I will travel. I want to one day shoot my age on the golf course, so that's really important to me. So I'll just hope that my handicap doesn't go out faster than my birthday years. So, eventually if I can shoot a 70-something when I'm 70-something, then I'll be wrapped. So that's those sorts of things. But I think I love life. Like, I love living. I love experiencing great things. I love eating great food. I love time with my friends and family. And so to get more of that, I think is really what I want.
Awesome. Yeah. Where can people find you,
Blessing.
mate?
Yeah. Well, the best place is you can either listen to the podcast, 100notout.com. My website is damiankristoff.com. Or you can see me in my practice at Vita Lifestyles in Sandringham. So, and my doors are open. So I love to see people, and I'm so grateful for you guys bringing me on. So thank you.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure and really eye-opening. It's encouraging to hear that story, because you said it. It doesn't have to be complicated. And we've been doing this for millennia. We're evolved. We're adapted to actually live like that. So it's encouraging.
It's a new neural pathway. It's actually an old one, but we've got to open it back up.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Dr. Damian Kristoff, thank you so much.
Thank you, Danny. Thanks, Denise. Thanks, Trev.
Thanks,